On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, things that make you go,
Welcome to the Crushing Debt Podcast with your host, Florida attorney Shawn Yesner, where our goal is to help you get rid of the financial bullies in your life.
So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and welcome back, George Curbello, your financial coach.
Indeed, brother.
So in trying to brainstorm and trying to think about what kind of topics could we talk about this week, I found when I went to one of these podcaster seminars a couple of years ago, there's a company called Poddex. Poddecs, poddecs.com. And basically what they do is they provide questions that podcasters can use to either interact better with their guests or whatever. And so one of the tchotchkes they were giving away was a deck of cards that had questions on them. So we're not going to go through all the questions, but we picked out some of the questions that we thought were
This is a family show, too. Some of those questions are a little off, buddy.
Some of those questions were, maybe. One thing we were talking about last week was what we can do for our patrons on the Patreon page.
There you go.
Maybe we'll answer some of the more racy ones on the Patreon page. So if you're interested in some of the, the worst place you've ever had to go to the bathroom kind of questions.
All I got to say is Sean's got way too much stories that can't be heard on this telecast.
Well, when you're 50, you collect stories. Anyway, before we get there, we do want to talk about our sponsors. Our first one is Sam Cohen. He was, I think, second last week, so we'll put him first this week. Sam owns Attorneys First Insurance. He writes errors and omissions policies, or E&O, or malpractice coverage, basically, for attorneys and title companies. So if you are a startup law firm or a startup title company, definitely reach out to Sam. It doesn't matter where you are, anywhere in the U.S. Contact Sam at attorneysfirst.com or go to his website, attorneysfirst.com. That would be a great way to support the show. But let's kind of...
I'm a little nervous.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm just gonna. We picked out a few. Some of them are money driven.
Yeah.
Some of them are not money driven. They're just funny. So this first one here. What is the most expensive thing you've ever bought that wasn't a house or a car?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I got two of them. two of them that. So here's the other thing too.
I don't think you bought your kids though.
Look at that. Ching. Nicely done. All right, so I got here's the thing, guys. We all make money mistakes. And I think for me, this is a good question to kind of show you that even your financial coach can make some mistakes with his finances in his career and in his life. So two of them, all right? And one of them is kind of obvious. The other one's kind of like, what? All right, so I was pulled into a 1-hour session.
I know where this is going already.
Hey, you can be part of this timeshare, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But so, yes, I did the money mistake of timeshare and wanting to do more for vacationing and family. My wife and I were like, we have to put something in place. It's not like a timeshare. It's one of those points. You get points, and you can then use the points on a particular vacation spot. Realizing that it's probably just cheaper to actually just go and, buy the hotel and go to the hotel and do those kind of things. But of course, we needed something to motivate ourselves. So yes, timeshare, probably the worst of my money woes.
Okay.
But I can top even myself. Sean, here, let me give you this one.
One-ups himself.
Another mistake that I've done in my life, people. So again, I owned a home, and I lived in Pennsylvania for 16 years. We needed to repair our porch, the stairs leading into the home itself. So many years, it looked like our stairs were tilted, my friend. It was like, I think we had some violations. So of course, I was like, hey, let me borrow from the 401k so that I can buy, the stairs. And so I got a great deal. It looked fantastic, was so proud, okay? I sold the home to come to Florida, and I still was making payments on the stairs that I put on this house. Wow. And yet somebody else got to enjoy the stairs. So two
Nice.
For you, my friend. There you go.
So I've got two as well, but they're the same thing. And I'm actually wearing it right now. There,
Nicely
you
done.
can see it on the video. So, this is my Rolex Submariner is probably the most expensive thing that I bought that wasn't a house or a car. But there is a story behind this one. And so in order to tell the story behind the Rolex, I have to go back and tell the story about the Breitling.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know what a Breitling brand watch, and some of the listeners may or may not. But a Breitling is kind of up there in terms of cost.
Okay.
Kind of with a Rolex. They're pilot watches. So the crystal on the Breitling is manufactured in such a way that when a pilot is looking at it, it doesn't. You know how you can take your watch and you can reflect the sunlight onto somebody,
right,
and kind of try to blind them or whatever.
Never happened, but yeah.
Breitling, the way the crystal is created in a Breitling, it doesn't do that.
Okay.
So that way the pilots can see it while they're flying.
Nice.
My dad's a huge watch collector, and I mean my dad's got some watches that are as expensive as some small cars, and so I had kind of had my eye on getting a nice watch. Well, at the time, we were getting ready to go on a cruise, and a lot of the expensive jewelry that my family has purchased has been while on a cruise because you don't have to pay tax, you don't have to pay duty.
Yeah.
You pay some duty to get it back in the country,
Yep.
but that's it's typically cheaper, and you don't have to pay all the other stuff. So I had a very serious girlfriend at the time, not my wife, and I decided I was going to propose to this girl.
Okay.
And so went out, bought the ring. It was from a custom jeweler, cost me like $5,000
Oh, God.
for this ring. And so I get the ring, I bring it home, I put it in its hiding place. Now, my brother-in-law proposed to my sister on a cruise. So I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
My thought was I'll propose to this girl, and then we'll go on the cruise, and
Okay.
we'll be an engaged couple
Celebration.
on the cruise.
Gotcha.
So I found out probably a month and a half before the cruise that she had been cheating on me.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Ay, ay, ay.
So in my, I'm flipping out, and I pull the ring out from its hiding place, and I said, this is how, and I showed it to her, and I said, this is how serious I am about our relationship. She looked at the ring, and her comment was, that's not the cut of diamond that I wanted.
Okay, you.
Click, get the F out of my house.
Ay, ay, ay.
And so when I went to return the ring, because it was a custom piece of jewelry, the guy said, well, I'm glad to take it back, but there's $1,000 restocking fee.
Ay.
And I'm like, you know what? If I had ended up marrying this girl,
Right.
that
Cost
would
you more.
probably be the story. The most expensive thing would have ended up being the divorce. So to get out of this relationship with this girl for only $1,000, I was like, whatever.
Sold.
Fine. Here's your ring back. $1,000, done. So I'm on the cruise. Actually went my sister and brother-in-law's best man and went with us, and he was my roommate, and we went nuts on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to the jewelry store in the Caribbean, and I find this Breitling, and it's got all of the elements of the watch that I want, plus some other stuff. It's a black leather band and a black face and a gold bezel, and it was a gorgeous watch.
I can imagine.
And I'm looking at it. It's a $4,000 watch.
Sheesh.
And so I'm looking at it, and I wear it, and I put it on the counter, and I look at it, and I hold it, and I look at it. My dad comes walking up behind me. So what are you doing? I said, well, I found this Breitling. I love this Breitling. He said, and I said, Dad, it's $4,000.
Right.
And he went, well, wait a minute. You have a $5,000 jewelry budget that you just spent on that ring, right? And I was like, no, Dad, it was $5,000, but I gave it back and I only had to spend $1,000. He's like, so you still have $4,000 that you had budgeted for jewelry.
Right.
I walked out with the watch.
Nice.
So
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. So that was the first watch, and I had that watch for a couple of years, and then I had started to get into watches and all that kind of stuff, and I found this Submariner, not the one that I'm wearing right now, but I found it's got the hunter green bezel, basically the thing that you spin to try to time. It's got a hunter green one with a black face, and again, I just fell in love with a picture of it.
Yeah.
I think I might have been dating my wife at the time. This might have even been before I met my wife, but no wife, no kids.
Yeah.
Running a fairly decent law firm. I had some money saved up. So went on the second cruise, however many, 3-4 years later, however long it was later, found this Rolex and walked off
Yeah,
the ship
fun.
with the Rolex.
Nicely done.
Those are the two most expensive things I've ever bought. That
I like the
Or in a
good
house or a
stories.
car.
Both of those didn't show any millionaire mindset though.
No.
But so
No. Well, one of them was Millionaire Mindset in that I already had the money budgeted. It wasn't like I was spending any more money than what I had budgeted.
I like that. That's a good point, and I like that. You're treating yourself. If you have the money, you didn't spend money you didn't have, so that was a good thing. So lessons learned. Again, don't be like your financial coach where you're borrowing for stuff that you're probably not even going to have. So little oopsies there, people.
Borrowing from the 401k. Did it ever occur to you, by the way, and I don't mean this in a condescending way.
I think you will, but let's let you do
No,
it anyway.
I don't mean it in a condescending way. It's an honest question.
No, please.
Why not, when the house sold, use some of the proceeds from the sale of the house to repay the 401k loan?
Well, we did that, but that's another therapy session that we'd have to go through, and I don't think we have enough time on this show to actually go through that. But yes, you make sense. I don't make sense, my friend. So let's move on, and we'll get you that in another episode.
Sounds good. Okay, so here's the next question. We got 4 more of these. Here's the next question. Have you ever eaten food from the floor?
Yeah, come on. 5-second rule.
5-second rule, man.
Come on, man. Seriously.
I almost did yesterday, by the way.
Yesterday, jeez. So here's the thing. We clean. My wife, she is everything to me. She cleans and makes sure that, she has the mantra of like, I should be able to eat off the floors itself. So yeah, we don't normally do it, but if like a chip falls on the floor, let me tell you, you have to be fast though in my house because the dog is looking at you and he's like, oh, meat, let's go. Yeah. That's mine. So technically by the time I get to it, it's probably already gone anyway.
So I had a craving last night for hamburgers and hot dogs.
Oh, that's today.
Threw the burgers on the grill, threw the dogs on the grill. And I'm pretty good at using a spatula to get the dogs off the grill.
Okay.
Except last night.
Not the dogs now. This is not puppies or anything like that. The hot dogs.
A hot dog. So I had 4 burgers on the grill. I had 3 dogs on the grill. So I was going to give 1 each to the boys, and then we were going to have burgers. I get the first 2 dogs off the grill, no problem. Like I get the 3rd dog off the grill. I'm moving over to put it on the tray where I have the cheeseburgers and the other 2 dogs, and it rolls off the spatula and hits the patio. And for a second, I looked at it, and 10 years ago, Shawn would have thrown it back on the grill for like 5 minutes, burned off any of the germs.
Of course.
50-year-old Shawn was like, forget it, and I chucked it into the bushes behind the house. Let the squirrels get it. Let the
squirrels and the possums and everything else that's out here in Florida.
Yeah, but that was definitely, so the 5-second rule.
5-second rule still applies. I get it. I would say, there's some restaurants I probably wouldn't do that in, though. So we'll move on from there.
Yeah, move on. So here's another money one. Have you ever stolen money from your parents?
Oh, geez. Such a morality question. Here's the thing. Growing up, my mom worked hard. We didn't have a lot when it came to, finances and money. So everything we had definitely, but yeah, there were, quarters. I'll give you good stories. Mom would send me to the grocery store. Oh, go get, we need milk, eggs, So she'll send me, 10, 11-year-old me going downstairs in New York City, go get some of this stuff. Give me $20. My mom a week later is like, hey, what about the money that I gave you for the groceries? So technically it wasn't stealing, but she didn't ask for it. So
my kids do that to me now.
It's a move. It's a move itself. But I think once I've stolen, I think it was like $20 from my mom, but my mother was a Puerto Rican mom, so just letting you know, there was lessons that came with once there was identified there was money missing. There was a lot of lessons that I learned from there that I would never do that again.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever stolen from my parents, but I know that when my mom comes into town, or even when my parents come into town, I don't know if they enjoy doing it. I think they do.
Of course they do.
But I know that they're going to pay for dinner.
Yeah.
So whenever we go out to dinner, I know they're going to pay. I always offer, but I know they're going to say no. Actually, it was interesting. So I think I've said before, I bought, my TV died and Black Friday, and I bought a bigger TV. Well, my mom was here for Thanksgiving, and I said, I'm going to go get this TV. And I didn't have the money yet. Payroll hadn't hit yet, so I didn't have the money yet.
Sure.
And for a second, I kind of said to my mom, well, if you want, you can go buy the TV and I'll just pay you back.
Right.
Knowing that she would probably say yes, and knowing that she would
Never
probably say,
take the
don't
money.
worry
Of
about paying me
course,
back.
of course.
But I ultimately decided, no, that wasn't right. I'll just, when the money comes in, I'll go out and buy the TV. But I know that my mom and dad would do that kind of stuff for us.
Oh, we'll do that for the kids. Of
Yeah.
course we will do that.
So
So you're a good boy. Oh man, I'm the one who's like should be locked up, and this guy's like, well, I was just trying to trick them into buying me something.
I was always too scared of my parents to steal from them. I mean, you have the Puerto Rican mom, I have the Jewish mom and dad.
You don't survive those guys.
I was scared of if I stole from them and they found out, that would be the end of it.
You would be synagogue.
I would be 6 feet under the synagogue. So
I love it.
okay, here's the next one. When was the worst time that you threw up?
Oh, jeez. All right, so I was a good boy, so I'm going to say that right off the bat itself. So when I was 21, I had, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she threw a party and, drank a lot of shots and liquor and thinking, oh, I can handle all this. Probably at the end of the night ended up near the toilet, could not stop the heaving from that perspective. The other bad time for me was, I think I was like 25, 26, had a great party once again, but this time my mom was around, so got to, a little bit tipsy in front of my mother, and of course she had to witness me throwing up in, not the toilet, in the tub, because there was not enough space. I was pretty much just, you remember the scene in The Exorcist?
Yeah.
That was me without the head rotating. That was it.
Well, unfortunately, the question is, when was the worst time? Not when was the last time. Because if it was the last time, my answer would be about a month ago, as this episode comes out. So for my 50th birthday, my wife kind of threw me a I knew about it surprise party. And why do all of our throw-up stories involve alcohol, by the way? So
That's a good thing. If it's anything else, food poisoning's not fun.
No. So, we had my 50th birthday. We had friends come over, and my friends know me by now. So everybody brought some kind of alcohol.
Right.
I've got enough bourbon and vodka and rum at my house that I'm curious how much of it's going to be around next year's birthday party.
Right.
But yeah, so I had a couple of my go-to drink was bourbon and ginger ale, still is bourbon and ginger ale. I probably had 5 or 6 of them over the course of the night. I had a couple of shots of bourbon with friends to celebrate my birthday, but I don't think that's what did me in. I think what did me in is at the end of the night, all of that drinking caused my brain to think that the cigar looked good.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was the cigar that put me over the edge. But yeah, at the end of the night, I was praying to the porcelain god. The problem was the house was still full of guests.
Oh, that's even okay.
So
that's
my kids are knocking on the door, my wife's knocking on the door, my parents are knocking on the door, the friends are knocking on. I'm just like, go away, blah. And it was funny to look back on, but not fun. The other time that was probably the most embarrassing. My parents know that I drink. My parents drank, not a lot. My sister drinks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not such a taboo subject
Yeah.
in our house.
Sure.
My wife's family, on the other hand, they drink, but they never really drink to excess.
Okay.
So my oldest son was 2. My wife was pregnant with our younger one, and we were in South Carolina for my wife's cousin's wedding. Open bar.
Eesh.
Oh, yeah. And we were all splitting one big suite in the hotel. So, yeah, my son is saying, "What's wrong with Daddy?" As I'm in the bathroom hurling my brains out with my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law and my wife's grandmother.
Oh, we're
and
such
my,
good examples.
My 2-year-old. Yeah, all of them listening to me just give it up in the hotel bathroom. So,
Too funny.
Okay.
Funny. All right.
Next one.
We're working.
What was your worst workplace experience? This one's easy for me if you need
Go
some
for it.
time.
Let me give me a time. It's because it's not that I have many. I'm just trying to figure out
Yeah. So I was an attorney at the firm that brought me here to Clearwater. So I'd been an attorney, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. So something in that range. And this firm was a relatively big firm. And we had, I think there was between 120 and 150 people on staff, including all the attorneys and all that. We had a word processing department. So you would write something, they give it to word processing, they would type it up, give it back to you, you would edit it, and then it would get filed. So one day I have the head of the support staff come walking into my office. Why are you making my people cry? I said, what are you talking about? She said, why are you making my people cry? I said, what? What are you talking about? So apparently I had made changes to a motion and given it to the word processing department. The guy that I gave it to and this guy, I was probably late 20s at the time. Yeah. This guy was probably in his 40s at the time, I'm guessing. He had given it back to me. I had taken a pen and made some changes that I wanted him to make. I gave it back to him. He gave it back to me. He didn't make any of the changes. So I wrote down the changes I wanted made again, gave it back to him, gave it back to me, didn't make the changes.
Okay.
And so I think I walked up to him and was like, dude, these are the changes. This is what I want the motion to say. You need to make these changes. I guess the way that I approached him with that was intimidating to him and made him cry. What I later learned was that the changes that I wanted made were changes that my boss said never to make in a document. Well, instead of telling me, hey, the boss doesn't want you to make these changes, he just didn't make them. And so had he said,
if he said something,
hey, the boss doesn't, the head attorney doesn't want me to make these changes, I'd have been okay with it. But the story doesn't end there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, there's more.
And continue.
So a few days later, I'm walking around the office and I see a Target employee name badge laying on the ground. And I think it was Steve, whatever the name was. And so I put the name badge on and I'm wearing it around the office.
Oh my goodness.
And they're like, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm Steve from Target. I'm not Shawn today. I'm Steve from Target.
I don't know where this is headed, but I feel like I know where it's going.
So I go walking into the break room and someone says, hey, Shawn. I'm like, no, I'm Steve from Target. This guy that I made cry looks up and goes, that's my name badge. He worked at Target as a second job and just his name badge fell on the floor. And here I am making fun of Steve from Target and it's him.
Wow.
I was like, oh, here's your name badge, dude.
Wow.
Sorry.
Dude.
I'm going to go crawl into a hole now.
You took it, bro. You won. You won the whoa experience.
Bullying the staff at work.
HR called you later and said, hey, dude, we have to we created a training just for your behavior.
Yeah. You're never Steve from Target anymore.
All right, so I don't think I've been that bad, but I have been told I do get passionate when it comes to helping, supporting, and really vocalizing. I've learned over the years that sometimes, vocalizing ideas and opinion, being part of the solution is always the case. But I was part of a team that just didn't agree with my approach in regards to certain things. You get frustrated when people tell you, like, I get you. I'm listening, but they're not. And you bring the leadership teams together, you bring people together itself, and those were moments where it's like I was telling them, being passionate. Unfortunately, I'm Hispanic, so I get a little loud, and I vocalize good points, but they sound loud. I'm like passionate; it's coming out. Maybe I am yelling. Maybe I'm not yelling, but my voice is raised.
Yeah. A louder volume.
So, of course, I've been told in follow-up meetings itself, again, worth experience, I'm like, I want to get our team better. I've actually told leadership teams, you suck, and we need to be better for the people we manage and we lead. And, of course, people get a little hurt when they get that. Unfortunately, I'm still learning how to talk to people.
Right.
But yes, I've had, instances of one-on-ones where it's like, hey, really good person, you're doing this, but you make the leadership team feel like they're inadequate in there. I was like, I'm sorry, but I want you to be better. It's not that I don't truly appreciate what you guys do, but there's moments where we can be better in how we manage things. So Yeah, not so bad, but my worst experience is being told, hey, you're not so nice with your approach on how to do things. So I'm sorry, but I won't do that to Shawn. Don't worry.
No, it's okay. I don't know that I would care. Okay, last one, which is kind of a fun one, kind of a money-related one, kind of a fun one. Although the attorney brain in me is already kicking in. But would you stop talking to all of your friends for $1 million? The first place my brain goes is
Facebook friends, yes.
Right, Facebook friends. Do my wife and kids count as my friends?
They are your friends. I would hope they were your friend, but they're family, so I don't think they count.
Would I have to stop talking to them for $1 million?
For $1 million? Honey, I don't know.
Is there a time limit on this question? Like, stop talking to them for a day, a month, a year?
Oh, my friend, I think it's just in general, but yeah, you're a lawyer. You're going overdrive on that one.
I mean, I think for $1 million, I could buy more friends.
I love it. Yep.
I don't know.
I think it's a good question. I would say, yeah, depending on the relationships, I would say Facebook friends, easy. Bye, we're good. You know, unfriend, here's my $1 million, we're good. I would say, give me $1 million to get off social media. Sure. That's another easy one that I think I would do.
You know, the one that drives me crazy is LinkedIn. I would definitely do it for $1 million and get rid of everyone on LinkedIn. The problem with LinkedIn is you get so many people that want to connect because you've got some third level connection 6 layers deep. I've had people call me or contact me and say, hey, I see you're connected to Joe Smith on LinkedIn. Can you introduce me? And I'm like, I don't know
who are you? Right.
I don't know who you are. I don't know who Joe Smith is. It's just we're connected somehow. So
yeah, use the connections for people you know to make the connections. I don't think it works the other way in regards to like, hey, you just know Joe Schmo. Let me make a connection. But I only have maybe 2 or 3 good friends. So if you told me $1 million to disconnect from those people, I would say that'd be a harder decision.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that kind of form a support network. I don't know that I could do it for $1 million.
I think we'll have to go the old-fashioned way and get the mindset to make the money.
What would you do for $1 million?
Oh, okay. Now that's a different episode.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the explicit warning.
Nothing illegal.
Well, I got fear of heights, and so I think if you told me $1 million to get on like a roller coaster, I'm like, okay, I'd have to suck it up, and we can.
Dude, I'd give you $quarter to go on a roller coaster with me. Bro, I love roller coasters.
See, that's not me. My daughter, my daughters, no fear. They get on those things. I don't know how they do the loop-de-loops and.
I love going upside down.
No.
My favorite roller coaster. Kind of off topic here, but we're at the end of the episode. Who cares? My favorite roller coaster is Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens.
Oh, nice. I
love Cheetah Hunt.
Izzy loves that. She just got on the new one. That's
like the Iron Gwazi.
That's it.
We haven't been since.
Loved it, and she said we went on the Christmas Eve, so of course not so many people. She was able to get on a few of those bigger rides twice, so she loved it.
I think this was part of Leadership Tampa Bay. I think when I was in the Leadership Tampa Bay class, 2013, best class ever, we actually got a behind the scenes of Busch Gardens.
Oh, nice.
So we actually got the run of the park. And they fired up all the roller coasters for us early.
Nice.
Before the park opened. So I got to go on Cheetah Hunt multiple times. I loved it. I love going. My older son, I forget which one it was, but it's the one that really just has the one loop.
Yeah.
And that's it. He went on that one with me. But my boys like roller coasters. They don't. I haven't convinced them to go upside down yet, but I love going upside down.
I think both of my kids, when they reached double digits, was like, "We're going to be courageous enough, and we can do this." And they haven't turned back since.
The one I can't do is Falcon's Fury. The one that you go all the way up and it
down.
Hangs you and then drops you. That one I can't do, and I can't do the ones that just go in circles. But anyway. So
come back.
Let's get back on track with this episode. So we are at the end of the episode, which means I do need to give some love to our second sponsor, Mark Purvis of LegacySpotlight.com. Mark is our editor, makes us sound great. But if you want to record these stories, if you want to answer some of these questions, these might be some funny questions that you might want to answer while being recorded by Mark so that you can pass some of these stories down to your future generations. Again, contact LegacySpotlight.com. But I think we are at the end of the episode. What else is going on, George?
I would say new year. I've got a few new clients that I'm helping out. Of course, it's that new year, so everybody's trying to, have a good start to the new year when it comes to their money. So I would say definitely have a plan, those goals we set, put them in motion. Now it's time to get things done. So I'm happy about that and really just excited to help people on their financial independence journey.
Well, and if you're listening to this episode on the day it comes out, you're listening on Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
So I don't know. Typically, Friday the 13th have always been good luck for me.
I'll take it.
I don't know why, but they've always been good luck.
Horrible movies, but
Yeah. And one of the other things, just to follow up real quick, last week's episode about millionaire mindset, something I forgot to mention, one thing that I did, I created years ago my millionaire plan.
Ooh.
And I said, here are the things that I need to do to become a millionaire. And some of the things on there: grow the law firm, hire an associate attorney, create the podcast. So and it's literally a brainstorm list that takes up pretty much an entire page of this journal book here. And things have come on the list, things have gone off the list. So, something you might want to do to follow up on last week's episode. What are some ideas you have that can get you into that millionaire mindset, that can get you to that millionaire level?
Well, we're hoping that the podcast will give you ideas as the year progresses as well. So 2023, let's go.
There you go. So I think that'll do it for this week's episode. We hope that at the end of the month you have more money rather than at the end of the money you have more month. And we'll talk to you in next week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.
If you have questions that you think would make a great topic for a future episode, please email Shawn or connect with us on social media. Shawn Yesner and Yesner Law, PL, are Florida licensed attorneys. The information contained in this week's episode is not a substitute for legal advice. Your situation may differ, especially if you are located somewhere other than the state of Florida. If you have questions, please contact our office or contact a local attorney. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.